She was she was very she was a people magnet. People were just drawn to her. She had that kind of personality, and she loved people. She loved always having people around her. She loved matchmaking and just enjoyed people, and people loved her. And she was kind of a bit of an actressy kind of person. She was a bit of a dramatist in that, but she was very sweet-natured. But she used to, she studied acting and loved to do amateur theatricals. They even did things like Hamlet, and they would all act in them. And I could remember one play they were all in, where they had the ghost of, not the ghost of Hamlet, Hamlet's father. No, someone there. He had to have a sword to do. He had to have a shield, and all they could find that was like a shield was the lid of the garbage can, and so that was the prop for that. But anyway, she was interested in amateur theatricals. She could play the piano and sing, and loved to, and write poetry, and she was just into the arty things. Everyone said she should have married a very wealthy man instead of a hard-working poor man, which he was in the beginning. And she wasn't much into housekeeping. I was never taught a thing about how to keep house or cook. And she would, she cooked a meal every night, but sometimes she'd forget and let it burn. And housekeeping wasn't her milieu. But she was charming, and we had because women were home, wives stayed at home in those days, and we had neighbours and friends all around the neighbourhood, and they would come. People had time on their hands, and we'd hear that front gate squeak, and there'd be people coming in and out. Everyone would just drop in, and there were always people in the house. It was just open house. And everyone loved her, and she was just really, really sweet and just a personality.
What was her full name?
Bessie Tryphena, and she hated that name. She was called after two of her aunts. Tryphena. Yeah. It's a name out of the Bible. Yeah. Yeah, but she's called. Oh, it's a family name. Goes back several generations in her father's family. Yeah, no, her mother's family. Yeah. Oh, I had a lovely relationship with her. Yeah, she was just sweet, very, very loving. She was very into religion, at the same time as she loved having fun too. She loved to flirt, but not in a bad way. She was attractive to men, and she liked to enjoy, just little flirty ways. But and as she got towards the end of her life, she got even more closer to the religion, and she opened up our house to have Bible meetings in and things like that. And she would invite people. When we were living in Monterey, she'd invite the people who had come in, our tenants, to come.
Who you are today. Back then, were you into it, or were you?
Oh yeah, I believed it all, up until really in my early 30s, after I got the kids off to school, was what happened. Before that, I just didn't have time to read much or anything, because it was, you didn't have you didn't have things like diapers, throwaway diapers or anything. You had to do everything by hand. So it was a full-time job, raising 3 little kids. But once they got to school, I found I had some time on my hands. And I'd always had an inquiring mind. I wanted to read more. So I started going to the library and getting science books. And I started reading The Origin of Species, Darwin, and I thought, my God, that makes more sense to me than that the world's only 6,000 years old and got all created in 7 days. This makes more sense. And so really it was like a load falling off my shoulders to say I don't have to believe that anymore. And that's where some people say they have a crisis of faith and it leaves them destitute. I wasn't destitute, I was happy.
Like your mind opened up.
Yes, it did. Yeah.